Okay, so now I want to give you, some context and help you see, what this tremendous growth that we've had in deceased donation means, and some of the good parts about it, but also some of the challenges that it creates for us. I think the highlight is that it's an amazing number of transplants, and this year's growth is staggering. So you can see we've been going up, up, up. 2015 was by far a record year for us. We even exceeded that in 2016. But the incredible thing is in 2017, we're going to probably hit 25 per million. So that is really remarkable growth. And so that has made a big difference. And we've also made some inroads, because if you look at the the dark bars, you can see that the proportion of donors that we're able to use is expanded in terms of their ethnicity, which makes them more available to some of the patients who are harder to match who have similar ethnic groups. So we're getting into the ethnic communities. We're seeing an increase in blood group O donors, which is good because our O wait times have been really long. But we've always been very, very proud of our living donor numbers. I'm going to talk to you a lot about living donation. The reality is that living donation, if anything, has gone down. Optimistically, we would say it's flat. I do not think that the success of our deceased donor program should impact on the obvious benefit of a living donor transplant, and we're going to talk about some ways of promoting living donation in a minute. But you can see with our deceased donor numbers gone up, the wait times are going down. Blood group O used to be very challenged, and you can see in the blue that it's gone down significantly. Even blood group B's gone down, and the wait time for blood group A is actually in AB is very short. We allocate by age, so I just wanted to show you that both the under 60 and the over 60 age patients are doing equally well, and in fact, there's some subgroups. If you're O and you're young, it's important to get on the list right away, because we have a very short number of, a small number of those people, and similarly, older A's are also going to get transplanted pretty quickly. So it's changed, right? So in 2006 or 2007, if you went on the waiting list, a lot of people were going to still be on the waiting list 5 years later. These days, the success of getting unsensitized patients transplanted is quite amazing. So you can see if you went on the waiting list in 2011, the chances of you having a transplant are really good. So people are waiting less time, which is obviously fantastic for our patients. And one of the showcase programs has been the Highly Sensitized Patient Registry, which is a national registry coordinated by the Canadian Blood Services. So these are patients who are traditionally who are difficult to match, who wait a long time. And with this national program, 47 patients have been transplanted. So that's really cut down on those patients waiting a really long time. There is hope for them. We've transplanted several patients. Owen has a patient who's waited over 20 years. We have a similar patient at St. Paul's who both received transplants in 2017. So that's just incredible. So we still lead the country in living donation, but we're not going in the right direction. Just to give you, so to put that in context, what do you think is the best treatment for a patient? Preemptive living donor transplant, put them on dialysis and give them, and then a transplant as soon as possible, or go on the waiting list. It's probably not a difficult question. So, of course, a living donor transplant prior to dialysis is the best treatment. But we're just waiting for my slide. Next one. Oh, it's me. So you can see that patient survival, graft survival, living donor in the pink is far superior to a deceased donor transplant. And so preemptive living donor transplant being the best transplant option, we need to get that message out, and the way we're going to get that message out is with our Transplant First initiative, which is a joint initiative. I'm going to speak about that in about a half an hour, so this is just to introduce you to the fact that we're going to be talking about Transplant First. In KCC clinics, when talking to transplant-eligible patients, we will not be necessarily just talking about if you're going to go on hemofistula first, if you're going to go home, PD first. We're talking about transplant first, so that's getting a living donor preemptive transplant without dialysis and going right to transplant is your preferred treatment. So we'll talk about that more in a minute. I'll show you some of the celebrities who are endorsing it, and but don't forget, organ donation is the need for organ donation is universal, even for people in the audience. Think about it. Talk to your families and make sure you get registered. Thanks. Whoops, I forgot my next, this is something that I think I did last year. I don't usually get to do this very often. I mean, clearly, if you know me, you triple know Adira. And so we'll just talk, we'll call Dr. Levin Adira rather than Dr. Levin, because that's how I think everybody in the province knows her. I think everybody in the world who is associated with nephrology, if you said, oh, I work with Adira, they say, oh my God, that's fantastic. So Adira has not only been my colleague for 29 years, I would think, or so. She's also a very close personal friend, and so in our family, we refer to Adira as the Queen of Nephrology. So welcome to the Queen.